Tes, 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 tes. Hai, hai, selamat petang semua. Kita akan start majlis dalam masa lagi 2 minit. Bolehlah duduk-duduk dulu ke, have a seat, tarik nafas dan lagi 2 minit kita start. Okay. Hai, selamat petang semua. Terima kasih sudi luangkan masa untuk majlis kita hari ini, book launch. Hari ini kita akan launchkan buku student Activism at the University Malaya daripada Dr. Yoong Suan. So, kalau yang belum ada lagi buku ni, bolehlah beli buku ni dekat bookstore bawah, kat bookstore kita, dekat downstairs, ada 20% off hari ini sahaja. Kalau berminat, bolehlah purchase kat bawah. Sebelum kita teruskan lagi majlis hari ini, kita ada sedikit video montage untuk tontonan semua.
Dr. Yoong Suan, PhD, Indiana, is a retired academic and former associate professor at the School of Education. Dr. Yoong Suan, PhD, Indiana, is a retired academic and former associate professor at the School of Educational Studies, University Science Malaysia, USM. This memoir recounts Yoong Suan's personal journey growing up in a new village during the emergency period and his schooling in English medium schools through the tertiary level. At University Malaya, he became active in student activities and was determined to eradicate apathy on the campus and to raise students' political consciousness. He actively participated in the development of the student movement in University Malaya from the mid-1960s to 1971. The memoir documents the self-determined nature of the Student Union, UMSU, which functioned under democratic rules.
Untuk meneruskan lagi majlis, saya akan menjemput Yang Ke untuk carry forward the event.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being punctual on time, and we start on time as well, I guess, yeah? So this is Yoong Ke. I'm the moderator of the day, but I'm also the Kuala Lumpur and Selangor Chinese Assembly Hall Youth Chief. But at the same time, before this, I also participate in student activism in University of Malaya. So it's a very honor to me to join today's forum as a moderator because I think this is kind of like a gathering for student activists in University of Malaya from different generations, yeah? So I think before we start, may I invite all the panelists to join us in front. So first of all, definitely the first person is Dr. Yoong Suan, yeah? And you know him about like his background. And one thing that impressed me a lot is like Dr. Yoong Suan has joined in UMSU for 4 years consecutive, in 4 academic years. 6, yeah. 5, all right. Yeah, I'll make an introduction. And also, Prof. Hong, yeah, a big round of applause to him. And then, Saudara Hishamuddin, and Saudari Elisa. Yeah. So these people are really great. I mean, like, they have a lot of, like, I need to make an introduction for each of them. Yeah. So, Dr. Yoong Suan, you know him because he's the author of the book today, we are launching today. And then I think they are part of the very interesting background that he has also because, like, he was born and raised in a new village. Yeah, but at the same time, he also participated in and also founded the Socialist Club, right? So I think it's kind of like a bit, because having a two mixing background. One is from the from Chinese background. At the same time, you also have like, coming from the English educated background. So he's also participated in UMSU and also initiate a lot of things like speaker corners, being elected as the member of UMSU council, and also become the exco, and then also founded the Socialist Club. And then you will tell us more later. Yeah, definitely. And then we also have Prof. Kong, who is the current Pro-Chancellor of Help University, and also have served as academic director since 1991. But most importantly, like all the student activists, like these three, it's kind of like the mentor or the seniors that we're always looking forward, because you are coming from the golden era of the student activism not only in UM, also in Malaysia. Yeah, so we learn a lot from you all. And he's also the president of UMSU. And one very important thing, he's also being named as the best all-around student in UM. So not only active in student activism, but also he can score high marks in academic, academic record. And then we also have Saudara Hishamuddin. Yeah, you know him. He's the activist. He's a stylist. He's a filmmaker, writer, and most importantly, he's the penghasut. Like every time, he talks to the young people, you can get inspired a lot of people, to continue joining the activism. Yeah, and he's still very consistent until today. Keep on writing, keep on penghasut. And then we have, last but not least, also our current young generation. Give her a round of applause as well. Not Elisa, am I right? Yeah. So she is also part of the Student Representative Council before this, yeah, for almost a year. And then you are the history, and also you study history and also social science as your background, right? And then, yeah, so I think it's a great mix-up of the panel today, because we can hear from the golden era of the student activism. At the same time, I'm not sure whether you can name our generation as silver era or what, but let's discuss, yeah, let's discuss. But before we start the entire discussion, perhaps I would like to pass this mic back to Dr. Yoong Suan. Perhaps, can you let us know, like, why all of the sudden you decided to write a memoir, and what inspired you to write this, and then, yeah, what kind of message you want to bring to your generation and also to our generation? Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize for getting old, 81 years old.
Yeah.
Speaking slowly. I think all of you know that student movement in the 60s is influential, very well known. But it has been neglected. Not much has been documented. And especially the government also tried to obliterate the history of this student movement. In this sense, we think it's about time that we must do something. We don't want it important. So when I retired USM and moved to Cameron Highland, in a very cool atmosphere, I started to sit down and try to think about it. But a lot of materials that I have was a collection of newspapers, but 90% of this were from the Chinese paper. English and Malay newspaper, I have one or two, but they are negligible. In other words, during that period, the English and Malay newspaper, having been controlled ruling class, actually purposely omitted. And second thing is that I have a lot of my own photographs, but this was burned during May 13, because I have a very close call during the May 13th. I was in Kampung Baru, Jalan Cendana, near Hill Road. My mother and my brothers were staying in this Kampung Cendana, where there are two communities of squatter houses living side by side. My mother rented a room only, not a house. Squatter room in the squatter house. That was the period where my family's finance was at the lowest. So when we talk about history of, when I started on the talk about recording the history of University of Malaya Students' Union, I have to talk about myself. So this book, therefore, it's not only socio-political, but it's also personal, because it marks my personal experience and how I came up to become pro-socialist, embrace socialism. It's based on a very unique situation, because my father from China, he's from Hainan. He's 7 years old when my grandfather passed away. So at that time, he has no choice. As a young teen, he came down to Singapore, started toiling, hoping to fight for a good future. Then in between, of course, he has been working in coffee shop. Now, why Hainan is famous for coffee shop? Because during that period, only this, they were only left this type of trade. Most of other trades, like rubber business, more lucrative one, has been taken by other Chinese, like Hakka, other Hokkien. So my father has been working in all these coffee shop until they landed up in Kuala Lumpur, Darling Street. That's a very famous coffee shop there where he has been apprentice for very long. Safe enough, started a coffee shop in Chua, Gadang. That was a village then, it was not a new village. And he has to rent 2 shop houses to open the business. But he is fortunate, although during the Japanese occupation came in and he was able to maintain quite good business. And we had a good time until later on. But when the emergency broke out. And you know, emergency, all the a lot of residents, over 600 residents, were all evicted and located in Sumatra and became a new village under emergency. Bricks law, Bricks and containing communist threat. That changes a lot of my life. I've been living in this village, and you know that village basically contained all the pro-communist elements moved from the countryside to those places. So one of my characteristics is that because it's a coffee shop, so my father also opened up mahjong tables for the rubber tappers. When they come back, nothing to do, they will play rubber. Now in the layout there were about 3 tables. And I always stay around there and listen to all the gossip. But this gossip gives you a lot of intelligence about this British brutalities and which they try to cover. It is through this process that I can understand why pro-death idea was in my mind from that years. Another thing about this that period, actually, being at the mahjong table, I also actually learned how to play and become expert. No, I mean, it's true. Because when I first joined MU, I don't have a scholarship yet. So I have to, actually I won money from on this mahjong table with a friend. Because we rented our room in this section 12, just below there. Myself and Kajang High School, we stay together, $60. So I have to pay $30. But the landlord, they always play mahjong. Sometimes they lack of kaki, so they asked me to join in, and I had confidence in it, so I joined in. And on the average, actually, I won back my rent to subsidize until my bursary, teaching bursary. So this is just some joke anyway, but it is a kind of thing that when you are with the area, why I become socialist as a background. Because the way we grow up, the way we socialize, ultimately determine your outcome. And this, despite, for me, I was sent to study English school. And I'm English educated from primary to university to PhD level, totally in English. So people always thought that I'm a Chinese educated person. No, in the afternoon, for 3 years, I took tuition in Chinese. And that makes me proficient in Chinese. But that also makes me socialize in two cultural environments, the English school environment and the Chinese school environment. Because I stay in my child village. Therefore, I mix more often with the Chinese educated students. And in this process, I actually became more Chinese educated oriented than most of my classmates in English. And in the end, I become more really, that was Cold War period. So it's either pro-West or pro-Russian. So I used to speak up for Russia, and they call me Khrushchev. Why? Because during the time Khrushchev at the UN Assembly took out his shoe and banged the table, and everyone knows about that. But that was the kind of development that I faced. And when I started schooling, and after schooling, I began to mix with these Chinese schools educated students. They invited me to join a secret study group. In this study group, I get to introduce positive, progressive literature. And slowly, I begin to read a lot of left-oriented books. And later, I even read books like Marx Capital. It is very difficult book to learn, but then in the process, I get to understand why socialism is become important in salvaging. And as a result of that, that is one part of my life that I'm talking about. The second part of the life, because of my association with this group, I began to get associated with the time Socialist Front. Because Kajang Sungai Chua started a branch of Parti Rakyat, and my colleagues in the study group were key personnel. So I did not join the party at all, not even right until then. But through personal relationship, they feed me with literature. So I have all the Socialist Front literature from even Fajar, Singapore, Partisan Socialist, and Labour Party, Party Rakyat, all these documents, publications, I used to receive regularly, and I still have them in my house. And these are the kind of things that changed my outlook, political outlook, so that when I joined the university, I'm more or less socialist. I even have read what you call, at the time, there was the Southeast Asian Socialist Conference of Socialist Party. I was even able to read working paper because my friends cheat these papers. That's the collection I had. Okay, that is one. That's I would like to talk more about I struggled very hard to join University of Malaya, although my secondary school career was not really very smooth. I did not qualify for Form 6. I had to take further education, FEC, further education class. And I had to take science subject because that was my interest. And I took pure and applied maths, which was not taught in the FEC. So what did I do? I had to self-study mathematics, which is a highly abstract subject. It's a very difficult one, but I managed and got credits in all the 4 subjects, and I entered MU. That was the beginning of my university life. So, briefly, university life, I just want to mention that when I went in University of Malaya, we were the so-called 1% of the population, and student apathy is that although MU at that time was more or less one of, I would say, it's an exemplary, it's an example of where university autonomy and academic team have really functioning without much government interference, even though it is 100% supported by the government. That was the situation where we had. But when you have the opportunity to be on your own, they are free to do everything. They don't do anything. They are more interested in trying to get a degree. Their interest is more orientation at that time. You have this what they call organizing, dancing, balls, every now and then. Yeah. So at the time, I started to meet people like Sai Ami, a few others. Gong Kim Sai, one year later. Okay. Oh, I have a tendency to move away. So that was the kind of situation facing us. We thought that we want to do something. And then came the launch of the Speakers Corner. That is a very important, because that Speakers Corner really freed students. First of all, it allowed students to let go of their frustration, after all their hard study. But most importantly, it allowed people to have free speech. All this I have documented. I documented all these things. They are all substantiated by newspaper, especially a lot of newspaper, Chinese newspaper, what has happened. Now, the Speakers Corner really opens up. Then that time was the time where the world, as you know, is a Cold War period. So America was having a war of aggression in Vietnam. Now, that was the best opportunity for us to start a demonstration. A group of socialist group. We met at this Speakers Corner, and in fact, we formed a STEM committee subsequently. We used that, so we started first demonstration, only about 50, 60 people turned out. Then the second demonstration, large crowd, where we have, after the demonstration, we played a recording of the Minority of One magazine from US is condemned of US intervention in Vietnam. That brings out more people in. And then after that, 20 of us went to Federal House in KL and submit, put the placards around. That was hardly really a demonstration. The third one was a more important one, was what they call Vietnam War exhibition. We collected, actually we borrowed, gathered from friends and from the local political parties, thousands of Vietnamese photographs showing the Vietnam War. Some of them are very iconic. It shows how dreadful was the war. And at that exhibition, the very good turnout at the arts concourse. And at those points that we have a recording, we played a record of anti-war song by some Tom Lehrer. I don't know how many of you Tom. If you are interested, I can show you.
Yeah, we can show it.
But Doctor, okay. But before we go to Dr. Yoong Suan, but let's also discuss, because just now Dr. Yoong Suan talked about a lot of like how his life impacted in ways thinking of like building socialism and also to participate in the activism in University of Malaya, right? Yeah.
This
Sure.
is called the year that never was.
With President Johnson practicing his audio on the Vietnamese, and then the domestic crisis on top of that. It has been a nervous year, and people have begun to feel like a Christian Scientist with appendicitis. Fortunately, in times of crisis like this, America always has its #1 instrument of diplomacy to fall back on. There's a song about it. When someone makes a move of which we don't approve, who is it that always intervenes? UN and OAS, they have their place, I guess. But first, send the Marines. We'll send them all we've got. John Wayne and Randolph Scott. Remember those exciting fighting scenes. To the shores of Tripoli, but not to Mississippi. What do? We send the Marines. For might makes right. Until they've seen the light, they've got to be protected, all their rights respected, till somebody we like can be elected. Members of the Corps all hate the thought of war. They'd rather kill them off by peaceful means. Stop calling it aggression. Ooh, we hate that expression. We only want the world to know that we support the status quo. They love us everywhere we go, so when in doubt, send the Marines.
That's the song.
This type of songs, there are 10 to 12 in the album. And actually, the best part was that this record was borrowed from, you know who? Uncle Aziz. Through Syed Hussein Ali. But those were the time that we started the fever of demonstration. From then on, there got a whole series of demonstrations. We have, I think you can They are all in detail. I won't go into that. There are at least 10 to 15 of them. And most of them were organized by us. And the biggest one is actually the UMSU officially organized against terrorism. That was because when we demonstrate against the Soviet Union's aggression of Czechoslovakia, the government intervened and fired tear gas at the student. This is the first time where tear gas was fired at students. And as a result, UMSU organized anti-brutality, police brutality, and we marched from the Selangor Club all the way to the Minister of Interior at the time. So those were the days that whenever the opportunity, we also have the Mitwa Squatta issue. So all this, whenever there are social injustice or any unfair cases, we started organization. But the tone changes after the English language, the Bahasa Malaysia issue came, where they become there was a shift, and when the May 13th event happens, what has happened is the anti-Tunku demonstration being used by the news stewards, UMNO, try to change UMNO from within, involving the international. And that is a time where the tone of demonstration changes. But we did not really get involved in those kind of ethnic-oriented kind, but we also get, for example, Syed Hamid also was involved in the anti-Tengku struggle, but he is against the system, whereas Anwar and company, the BBM event then, were anti-Tengku as the head of UMNO. So that was a difference in our approach. So beyond that, in 1971, when I was my last involvement in any of the demonstration, and the burden of it is passed over to our friend Ishamuddin Rais, who carry on the struggle until they get involved in the Tasik Utara and the Baling incident, and later the final end of the Socialist Club. So I just want to briefly mention this one just to let you know that during our time, it's a good example of where university autonomy and academic freedom was at least not as bad as now.
Yeah.
Now it's even terrible. You get the ACU, the College Act, University College Act, where it's being written officially. Even UMSU, even as a student union, also they don't like the name. They call it the Representative Council. So this is a situation where, so I leave this man of my colleague. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Round of applause. Yeah, you are right, Doctor, because in fact, I think right after the ACU was being enacted, right, and then they changed the name of the student union to Student Representative Council, and it really differentiates the power and autonomy of each organization. And I think part of it, when we tried to change it back, it's also we received some pushback from the university itself. So it proved that actually the name also symbolize some things. But anyway, just now we talked about a lot on Dr. Yoong Suan gave us a bit background about what is happening in 60s and 70s. But I just want to pass this mic to Prof. Hong. It's like, how do you see this? Because we know that your era is one of the, you call it the golden era. You mobilize the students not only to demonstrations, you even mobilize the students to participate in so-called like campaigning for elections. For you have the student manifesto, all these kind of things. So how do you see actually when we have the student autonomy and how the student movement actually shape our political culture during that time, and bring the, do you see like what kind of impact it created to the society during that time?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, we should invite Dr. Selvaratnam to speak because he actually represents the golden era of Socialist Club at the University of Singapore in the 50s. And at that time, Socialist Club in Singapore was spearheading many things. Many of the leaders of the Socialist Club actually founded the People's Action Party, a part of the group that founded the People's Action Party. But now the Socialist Club in Singapore is completely banned. Okay, coming back to Dr. Yoong Suan's book, I think the book is interesting because it not only chronicles Dr. Yoong Suan's life from young, but he has many observations about life in the village, life in society, life at in the students' community, and subsequently, generally life in society. So it is interesting because there are many observations, sociological in nature and political in nature. So whilst he chronicles his life adventures or struggles, he makes many interesting observations along the way. And that, I think, is an interesting part of the book. Of course, Yoong Suan and I were in the Students' Council together. Many people may not know he was popularly referred to as the Red Guard. He will keep everybody in check if they go out of line. So, but at that time, as Dr. Yoong Suan has said, it was a time of relative liberalism that students were allowed to do in what I would say, whatever we wanted to do actually. There were no constraints. Nobody actually obstructed us, and we did not feel that there was any obstacles in our way. The Students' Union was allowed to do many things, political or otherwise actually. In everyday life, for example, the Students' Union controlled the Union House. Students actually control the Union House, call for tenders for the award of the catering in the Union House, food service, the union ran the bus service and so on. So there was a great deal of freedom to do whatever we wanted to do. And thankfully, some activities were carried out. And of course, in 1969, the University of Malaya officially took part in the elections and went around the country campaigning just like any other political party, though the union was not partisan, in the sense that the union did not support any candidate or party, but campaigned on the manifesto. Now, there have been a lot of suggestions that our coup actually killed student activism. To some extent, it is not true because after the first coup was passed, there was still a lot of student activity and student activism at the universities. I remember Hishamuddin still was very active at the Speaker's Corner, and when the peasants in Baling came out in protest, the students all joined in the protest in 1974. and even maybe to some extent 1975. So while ALCU acted as a hindrance to student activism, I think if you want to do it, you can still do it. As the students in 1974, 75 showed us the way, that they were, and recently our chairman, still very fresh in my mind, he also protested, ALCU or no ALCU, whatever the restrictions and repressive measures that have been introduced by the university, he nevertheless went to set a good example and protested during the convocation. Now, so I think there are phases in movements, social movements in society, including students. The phase, they're like, it comes like waves, you know. Of course, now the wave has crested down. I'm sure in the future, when the relevant conditions are right, the next phase of student activism and political activism in society will rise again. So do not think that it is a downhill and everything is now complacent, everything is now quiet, and there's an air of hopelessness. It's not true. I think in the future, the movements will come back again. As we can see in all over the world, in history and in all kinds of societies, no matter how repressive the society is, you can see that there will always be resistance. I mean, you look at Gaza, it's like a piece of rubble now, but still the resistance is there. So I think that in the future, the students will come back, re-energize, re-mobilize, and re-enter their role in society. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then, Saudara Hishamuddin, I just want to check with you, because just now Prof. Hong also mentions there's a difference between the struggle before this and right now, right? So how do you see, is it like actually the struggle for student autonomy is still relevant today? And then how do you see this for our student movement currently? Yeah.
Thank you, Gerak Budaya. Before I go to your question,
sure.
I would like to do a rejoinder to the bio data of Yoong Suan. You see, I came into the University of Malaya 1971. I'm post May 13, where the toilet of arts faculty is still full of anti-orang Cina, anti-orang Melayu, budak Cina tulis untuk orang Melayu, budak Melayu tu ada in the toilet. It was classic. That was freedom of the press. The real freedom of the press was the University of Malaya toilet. True. That was freedom. You write anything, you know. Okay. And as I have really determined, even when I was in sixth form in Malay College, Kuala Kangsar, I'm already determined because I'm already reading Surat Khabar Socialist, and there was a magazine also called Opinion. I'm already there, and so I'm already inclined to the left, and I'm determined to join Club Socialist as I enter. So there I joined Club Socialist, and Yoong Suan graduated. He's my senior, but there are other people, the Sim Kim Chiu, and Said Hamid, and Yoong Suan. They're all hanging around, you know. Hong, the ex-president, have gone to United States of America. He was given a Fulbright scholarship for half-bright student. That was the joke at that time. Hamid told me the joke. Dia pergi Amerika tu, for Fulbright scholarship, for half-bright student. So that's what, yeah, that was the joke, wasn't it? So that's it. You got Fulbright scholarship, huh? Okay, whatever. Well, so that was the joke at that time. So he was in America. So at that time, so Yoong Suan was there. I was a member, active member. You see, Club Socialist is quite serious organization. Mind you, you join in, not necessarily you will be immediately accepted to a club socialist. As a matter of fact, there's a member of mine, we call him Tauke. Until now, he is hanging around me. People kata, Isham, dia ni member club socialist? Tak, dia ni ahli cadangan. Dia 40 tahun dia masih ahli cadangan. Ya, kita perhatikan dia. We observe. Yeah. So that's the club socialist at that time. So I was, for first year, I was only observed. Ahli cadangan. You have been proposed, not necessarily a member. So when I was there, I was associated with this Yoong Suan and Syed Hamid. And it was an exciting period, very, very exciting. The Vietnam War was the background. Demonstration, the speaker corner was there. Ravi, the creator, and all this generation was there who created the speaker. When I came there, it was already there. The stone is already there under the tree, just at the other. So it was exciting time. This Yoong Suan, because he tracked the story how he was associated with the left wing. So I went in 14 council, 15 council, 16 council, 17 council. By the time I was the Secretary General, I was running the Union House. Yoong Suan used to have a motorcycle. I always visited him, and I was just telling just now, he used to have a dog, Doberman. At that time, I don't have a dog. Now I have a dog myself. He got a Doberman. You know what he did? He potong ekor Doberman tu. Now, if he do it now, I'll be objected. But at that time, I just accept that as a gospel truth. So, this Yoong Suan will tell me, Isham, I use University of Malaya address to receive publication. So every now and then, he will receive, receive. I always come, sometimes I go and hantar pada dia, ada surat lah Yoong Suan, ada surat lah. So one day, I was bloody fucking curious. What the fuck is this letter all? So I, without his permission, and very anti-discipline, I tear on open. You know what I found out? It was the Armed Struggle magazine. Shit! This guy is a left wing. I'm not sure whether he's an underground member of the Communist Party of Malaya or not. But that time, I saw the magazine, I quickly tutup dalam bahasa Cina tau. So, dia ni terima daripada betung. So, he received that publication. That was part of my experience with Yoong Suan. Otherwise, he's helped me to grow. Okay, that is my idea. I have to tell the story because it's good. He exposed the story, and he also said that how he associated with the left, and I associated. I found out that he received the publication. I hope those publications still in your house. Gambar sendatang tu mesti daripada Parti Komunis. Okay, daripada betung pula tau. Okay, your question just now is that okay. When you about student union, why during my time when they introduced after 1969, University Scholar Act was introduced. University College Act 1971 was introduced. But one thing, the introduction, they did not kill the student union. Why? I found out, I observed, because why? As you said now, all of us are automatic member. Automatic member. There's no such thing you join. You're automatic member. And we paid RM24, RM24 as a union fees. This is what is the key of the student movement. We run the student movement, as Professor Kong was said, the student union, the kedai gunting, the hostel, the cafe, we ran it. We collected it. When I came in as a secretary general, I looked at the chart. It was plus 250,000 ringgit in the bank account of University of Malaya Student Union. Tak ada rasuah. Syamuddin Rais tak pernah rasuah. 5 sen pun tak ada rasuah. So that's the when buying all. So that's the thing. So this is what keep the independent. We run student newspaper bi-weekly. Mahasiswa Negara. We sell it, 20 sen, we printed. The Sun printing that. So all these are why the student union killed. The reintroduction of University College Act Amendment 1974 was it killed the unionization. The union was killed. They do not no longer collect fees. So the moment you are financially not there, so you have to go to persatuan. Yang itulah Persatuan Mahasiswa Keadilan, Persatuan Mahasiswa PAS, that's that. So that's what happened. So there are no more independence. So that's what happened. And this happened everywhere. So this is the only thing. And they cannot function. They have to jumpa YB ni lah, jumpa menteri ni lah, jumpa encik ni lah. Minta bantuan. And then on the top of that, for the activism, they want to go to what you call that, to organize forum. By right, this type of forum, we should be in lecture theatre F, the biggest class, the biggest theatre in University of Malaya, arts faculty. Or in the economic faculty. But we're all in these little places, not outside here. Because there's no more, it's gone. Is university as a place where truth is seek, it's all gone. You know, if you go to University of Malaya there, at the library, right, there's a poem of Usman Awang, Gedung Ilmu, you know, it's respectful. It's all gone. It's now done. So what happened is that as I agree with Chan, the atmosphere is there, but the things that atmosphere, we have to create that. So the young people have to create the atmosphere. You have to create, we have to struggle. So, okay, you mentioned Tasik Utara. When I came there, Tasik Utara, the housing, but now the issue is still there. I just read the other day, the housing of Orang Asli was ransacked. And that's all. The issue is there, but the student, the younger generation is not there because why? They are not. Take note, during my time, WhatsApp tak ada tau. TikTok pun tak ada. So now, scroll, this become. So, it's all this become more and more idiotic because you don't know, you lose your thinking. You lose your thinking because why? You will be. There's so much information now. There's so much information. You are abundant for every day. You can get, but nothing happened. You know why? Because it's all the mind have been poisoned by all this scroll, swipe. This is the culture now, the younger generation. I'm not criticizing it, but I also, so this is what happened now. So I think this next one is the younger generation with the comment on my, I say lah. But I think the future is still there. It's very exciting. We went an exciting time. Of course, there's the Vietnam War as the backdrop. If you remember, also 1968. 1968, a very important year, is the almost revolution in Paris. The whole France was closed, almost closed. You see, Daniel Cohn-Bendit, the student leader there, Tariq Ali in London. All these people were world influencers. And then you have also all these people. And in the mixture, the atmosphere inside is a mixture of rock and roll, student protest. You have Lennon, you have Bob Dylan, you have Joan Baez as singing the guitar, as you said just now, and we have all this support. So it's a mixture of everything. And of course, the Che Guevara in Latin America. So it's a mixture of everything. But now you have Gaza, you have Gaza, you have Strait Hormuz. But the students are not coming up in Malaysia. Why not? I have no idea why. Somebody in the health do research. Why suddenly it's like this? I have no clue. But what happened is that the time of Yoong Suan, the time of Said, the time of, we have exciting time. When we are young, we do things that young people do. And now, come to think of it, did I try to hijack the plane when I was flying, deported from Moscow to Bangkok? I was just thinking, how did I do that? You know? And that is because you are young, you are brave, you dare to do things, you tak question apa-apa. You don't carry baggage, you don't carry any bag, no handphone, nothing. Just go for it. Thank you.
Right, thank you. I think we also see some changes after 1974, not only like taking the financial autonomy from the student union. I think they did some symbolized things, like they demolished even the student union building. And you know what they are enacting? They built what right now? They built the Chancellery building in the rest of student union building. So it's kind of like they want to, take away the...
No, for me it doesn't really matter you demolish it. For me, my memory of University of Malaya is still, the last memory of me is the 8th December evening, that's it. Because after that, I never enter University of Malaya again. Oh. It's still there, I don't know. My student union is still my student union. And you know why? This is another historical thing, why I boycotted entering University of Malaya. There was a University of Malaya student union building, there are 3 plaques, copper. The president, the chairperson, and the Secretary General. His name was there, and all them. Since the first council, we are continuation of the council, They came, after 74, I was told, they came and they threw it out and they melted the copper. And until I told them, no, I'm not going to enter. My memory of Malaya is still the same. Nothing changes. 5th college is my B203 is still the same. My room is still the same. Nothing. The pokok bulo next to the Union House is still in my mind. The pokok bulo there. That tree, the pokok kelapa sawit entering the University of Malaya. It's still the same. For me, it's still the same. Nothing changes for me. And let me tell you one story anecdote, very important. In 1985, Professor University of Malaya, his name is Professor Yoong Suan. He came to give a talk. It was Ramadan in SOAS, School of African Studies, London. I came there, he talked. I have high respect for him because it was Ramadan, dia minum air. So there's two of us, kafir. No. I'm proud. That part, I'm proud of it. So after that, we went to the bar. We went not to bar. We went to the cafe just quite in Russell Square. Where they were. And then I have a conversation. I asked him categorically, Sir, did you, Pak Ongku, rosakkan tak sudut pidato? Rosakkan tak pokok-pokok depan library tu? Saya dengar dirosakkan. And you know what this motherfucker say? Tak ada lah Isyam, kau ni dapat maklumat salah lah. That is the fucking Ongku Aziz.
It is. But anyway, so I think I will pass it to Alisa because she is the current generations. I think perhaps you can share a bit about your reflection after hearing from the seniors. Their fights, their struggles, and even how they become rebellious. And then let's make a reflection to the current student union or even the student representative council right now. Is it like, what kind of difference is it? And then perhaps you see, we talk about like want to abolish AUKU, we fight for student autonomy. But during my generation, when I try to mobilize, it's also pretty hard, right? It's pretty hard. So do you think that is the current primary concerns of your generation right now? And then, or should we actually focus something else?
Thank you, our moderator. So a little bit of reflection about what Hishamuddin Rais said. Based on what he said, that makes me really wanted to go back to the golden age and witness all of the fights, all of the student activism, spirit, dynamics, and everything. So that's pretty much show me how important student autonomy is. So that's a little bit of the reflection. And going back to the question, is it still a primary concern about the student autonomy?
Yeah.
Well, to answer about is it still a primary concern, I would say yes, among the student activism, but maybe not really a primary concern, not really an important issue for the student, for the average student to just think about university and wanting to get that degree, then habis. Macam mana saya melihat student autonomy, okay, I would say the topic of student autonomy is still important. It's always going to be a relevant topic through generations. Like salah golden age ke, silver age ke, dan juga kita punya generasi masa depan. Selagi mana AUKU ni masih hidup, selagi mana AUKU ni masih ada, giving restriction to the student activism, topik tentang AUKU ni akan sentiasa relevant. That is my opinion. And I believe that one should not feel scared when expressing their opinions and their thoughts and everything, because I think itu adalah hak untuk student, lagi-lagi dalam university, and it's important untuk the university punya pihak ataupun sistem university itu sendiri membenarkan student tu untuk experience benda-benda macam ni, sebab tak ada experience luar boleh gantikan experience ni, betul? Kan? Lagi-lagi bila Prof dan juga doktor-doktor semua cakap tentang speaking corners kan? Speaker corner, sorry. Benda tu tak boleh dibeli dekat mana-mana. And when it comes to like University Malaya, of course people will see it as the center of student politics. It's just there. And macam saya cakap tadi lah, student autonomy ni memang satu perkara yang penting. And talk about, is it still a primary concern? I would say yes. Tapi this generation kan, our focus are broader. Okay? So we have to worry about a lot of things. Our academic studies, nak sekarang kita dalam modern world kan? Dengan social media, banyak perkara yang perlu dirisaukan. There is everywhere, every step need precautious. So I would say this generation still care about student autonomy. It's just not all students perceive it as a primary issue, primary concern. Thank you.
So, I think just now, I maybe not just following the question, the guiding question that I sent it to you, but I was just wondering, right? Because before this, just now, you all have discussed. um, about the student autonomy before this and right now. How about the academic freedom? Is it the culture? Because you see, there's a shift of culture, right? I mean, to all the panelists, right? There's a shift of culture when it comes to academic, when it comes to student autonomy. The mindset of people thinking also different. Let's disregard. We have digital gadgets, all these kind of things, right? So my question would be, like, do you think AUKU is just the only issue that we are facing right now in order to address the student autonomy, academic freedom, etc.? Even Kyrie recently also mentioned KJ. He said, dia kata lah, katakan, I think perhaps we can hear more from Dr. Yoong Suan and also Prof. Hong, because he said like the professors are not coming out, to mention, to comment about the issues that are happening currently, and then is it there's a shift within the academic rules, and how do you see this? Yeah, maybe we can hear from Dr. Yoong Suan or Dr. Prof. Hong.
I think the issues, this is a very big issue, not an easy issue to resolve. Because in a new time, our time is totally different. We don't have any internet. So now, the other way around. Message can just spread fast through this social media. So in this sense, how do we use the new media on the new situation to put forward our ideas? Important thing. To me, I think we are being slowly directed into a position of what's it called, ethnic oriented, racialistic oriented. We try to be multiracial. We try not to avoid. We try to avoid this, but then there are deep sick. What do you call it? It's deeply embedded in the society and promoted by especially the extreme right wing. That whenever any issue comes up, push it or relate it to ethnic issue. And then when that happens, the attention has been directed. So in other words, in the new era, student union has to relook at how they approach the issues. It's not a simple issue to tackle, but it is an issue that we should tackle.
I think, Mr. Chairman, it is not true to say that all the professors are very quiet. I mean, we have Raman Ambong, who is very outspoken. We have Ahmad Adam, who is also very outspoken. Rachel Lau in UK is also very outspoken on certain issues related to Malaysian history. So there are people who do speak out, but maybe they're not given the relevant publicity by the media, maybe even suppressed in any other instances.
But all right.
No, this thing, okay. For me, I welcome. I always congratulate Ronald Reagan for liberating the internet. Okay, it was here. I was so disappointed, as a matter of fact, about this professor and all this. I mean, I was telling Jomo Kesundram, why don't you have your own every week speaking over the internet? And I also told Raman Embong the same thing. Why can't they have it? Because I look at America, Professor Richard Wolff, for example, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, for example. They have their own podcast. So there's no way, it's partly the criticism of KJ is quite true, partly not true. You can do a lot of things because there's all freedom now. You go there, you speak, and you speak. I was admire Professor Richard Wolff. He tell you all the things. Professor Jeffrey Sachs, Professor Moshimo. These are intellectual, the big intellectual in America. You know what Jomo Kesundram say? Oh, nanti ada orang akan buat fake news untuk saya. I mean, you are not up to standard. Somebody want to fake standard. And you look at this professor, the new guy. Yeah. The new guy, if you dislike Professor this Chung or whatever from Canada, this American guy, yes, people. But Jomo Kesundram, who the fuck want to fake you? That's why. So that's why I tell there's some truth. So go and now you do it yourself. And instead of forwarding, do your own TikTok. Why do you forward for orang punya pandangan? Do yourself. So there's so many things to be do. You can do it, So thanks to Ronald Reagan. Liberate, they are liberate, but use it. But it's not easy. Yes, quite true what KJ said. The professor here is a lembek. Tak buat apa-apa. Takut. Apa takut? You can go and challenge the whole thing. That's free. Tak ada KDN, ada. It belongs to everybody. So this is my opinion lah. So I have told Jomo Kesundram, I've told Professor Amambo, I told them, you should have your own podcast. Every week you should there, half an hour. Done. Whatever you talk lah. About farming or whatever, pig farming, sultan pig farming or whatever lah, Thank you.
But
Saya dah mula dapat duit. Betul. Ya. Saya pun tak tahu. Dia nak minta saya nak dapat duit tu, dia minta cungkai pendapatan. Saya tak pernah bekerja ada cungkai pendapatan. I don't have EPF. Now the company in America, they say we need your tax deduction. So that's it now. So I have. So don't worry. I have my blog every day without failure. You can go to my blog since donkey's years.
yeah, all right. But I think part of it is also true because I think a lot of it, if you see far right, they are very good in organizing and also using the social media, claiming their space, and then make sure they disseminate their narrative. I think this is part that we need to reflect ourselves. How should we really reclaim the space that we have? As academics, as a students union, and also as activists, right? I think this is a part that we need to reflect ourselves. But I think before we open to the floor, I think I have one or two more questions to all the panels. Yeah, so I think part of it is like, perhaps I would like to hear from the seniors about, because if you see right now in University of Malaya or in other university, there's a strong influence from the political parties in the campus elections, in student movement as well. And it seems like the student activism has become the stepping stone for those wannabe politicians. Yeah, they join student activism because they can gain publicity, they can gain reputations, and then it's a way for them to participate in politics. So I would like to ask to the seniors, is like, is this happened last time? I mean, like when how do you see the politics within the campus itself? And then going back to Alisa, is more specific for you because there's also an amendment right now. During Masdi Malik time, right? They allow political party to come into the campus. So, do you think it's a good initiative? Because we always talk about freedom association, and freedom association also proved that you can join any political party, definitely. But is it coming reflecting in student activism in university? Is it a good thing? If not, how should we address it? Yeah. So I pass it to all of you. Who want to start first?
Okay. Student activism, is quite true. I mean, Zahid bin Hamidi, now the deputy prime minister with 47 charges of corruption on his name, was my deputy in University of Malaya. Okay. Then I set up this University Bangsa Utama UBU. The graduate is just now deputy minister of education. His name is Adam Adli. The chief minister of Selangor, Ameh, is also a graduate from University Bangsa Utama. What is University Bangsa Utama? University Bangsa Utama is a counterculture university. We have no curriculum but activism. Our aim is only to demonstrate against the government. But now they are all in the government. They have forgotten what they are supposed to do lah. So that's another story lah. So I think the future is still there. But the thing is that whatever it is, the first thing is that the student. I remember categorically when Masdi Malik came, we discussed it together. It was almost in the level that I was proposing. I was part of the committee to restart the student union again. So that I told Masdi, the key to this is to allow them to collect fees. The moment you're allowed to collect fees, like us, Kong, my time, I don't know your time, Kong. My time was RM24, 24 ringgit per year student union fees. Times 10,000, berapa tu? Ada 240,000 tau. So this is the budget to run the union. I have 17 workers. daripada kedai buku. We have run bookshop, we run cafe, we have all. So all are autonomous. So all this is free. So all these things going on, it's all gone. The tradition, the training is gone. But some of them, the student, okay, Anwar bin Ibrahim himself was an activist, student activist in PB, you mentioned just now, PBMUM, Satuan Bahasa Melayu Malaya, and PR. So those are activists. So a lot of them were trained there. As I said just now, Zahid Hamidi also, and also these are all activists. So so it's a training ground. But one thing, I didn't train Zahid lah. That was not Zahid. Zahid, I didn't tell him to corrupt lah. But that was not part of the curriculum. That was not part of the curriculum. That was categorically not part of the University curriculum. But I don't know where he picked it up lah. Maybe he picked it up from either he picked it up from Anwar bin Ibrahim, or he picked it up because so okay. But the thing is that I think there's a future unless we revitalize again. Now there's so many student union, so many students. Last time we have National Union of Malaysian Students. I was also the Secretary General for a while. National Union of Malaysian Students, where all the student union and all the teacher scholars come together, But it was made illegal after also May 13, All this, the Asian Student Association. Let me tell you about Asian students. We also congregate together, Asian students. The office was under the University Student Union office, but also closed by the government after May 13. So these are the things. So the tradition is there for people. And of course, if you look back the history of China, the May 4th movement, you're always there. All the nationalist movement, the student is there to provide the energy. Yes, there's nothing wrong for PAS to have a student movement in the campus or the APO. It's good. They're organized. As long as they're organized, that's the, I mean, of course, don't teach them how to corrupt lah.
All along, we have been encouraging, irrespective of what political beliefs you have. We encourage them, if they have a PAS club or UMNO club, we have no problem with that, because over there, all along, the function at that time was that you can debate, even the speaker's corner. People argue opposite, but there was no violence. There was no, there is disagreement, but there was never any violence. And we try to explain or try to overcome or try to explain to the others why we take certain action. I mean, these are the kind of tradition that we were trying to foster. And to me, I think it's totally, in fact, it's also experience for them. If whichever party, if they represent, came out and they can become good leaders. That's what I think.
I think if you want to have freedom in the campus, you cannot have a double standard. Say you cannot have political parties in the campus. They should be allowed to be activists in their own party. So it's up to the respective members of different parties to canvass their support among the students. In fact, there was a very interesting phenomenon during my time. Syed Hamid was a branch, Pantai branch, chairman of Party Riot. And a lot of student council members were not happy that he was the chairman of Party Riot branch. And our position was that if a student wants to be a member of a political party, it's okay, that he has a right to do so. So they were not happy that he was secretary of the UMSU as well as chairman of Party Riot branch in Pantai. But in the end, we count the members, all the students had a general meeting and dissolved the council and re-elected Syed Hamid as the secretary. You know, to say that he has a right to participate, just as any other student.
Come back here about this Syed Hamid as the secretary, as a member of the PRM. Anwar bin Ibrahim, when he joined UMNO, his mother claimed that all the time he was tipu, he was already member of UMNO when he was in University. You remember that? Mak Yan, the late Mak Yan said that, oh, Anwar ni sebenarnya dah jadi ahli UMNO dulu ni, masa dekat student lagi. So you see, that's how I mean, of course, either Mak Yan lies or Anwar lies, but it doesn't matter. But that's the situation at that time lah. But this is historical.
Yeah. How about Lisa? How do you see this? Because I think the other, I think the other part, that I think some of the student activists who are not interested in joining political parties, who are having a bit restrain themselves or restrain this idea, is because they feel like, first of all, political parties, they have a lot of money. And when money politics come into the campus, and they can really mobilize, and I think perhaps Alisa can share about like how it was being used for the campus elections. People are throwing money into the policy. And you can see the banner being posted in the campus election in University of Malaya is even bigger than bigger than at the other political parties. But yeah, I think this is the part that we might want to discuss later. But I put it to Alisa. How do you see, Alisa? How do you see this? Do you see this as a positive part, or do you see it as negative? If so, why? Is it a positive things to see the political parties come into the university, and how it impacts to the student activism? Is it positive or negative? If not, if so, why?
Thank you so much, moderator, for the question. First of all, I would like to reflect a little bit on what Hishamuddin Rais said, and again about the freedom to handle your own financial as a student movement. So back then, during the gold generation again, you have the freedom, you have the autonomy to handle your own financial, like he said just now. You get 24 ringgit per person.
Per year.
Per year,
In
right?
60s, 70s.
Yeah, and then in my generation, per student, University Malaya will collect 10 ringgit per student for each semester. And that amount of money, a certain amount of money, mind you, the total number for the student in University Malaya, if I'm not mistaken, 48,000. But now that the Asasi student coming in, I don't know the current amount, but one thing I can say, it's a lot. So the ability to handle your own financial is amazing compared to what we face now. Talk about now the reality check. We have to work under the university system. We are being monitored, and there is always oversight by university management. So they always know about the money flow. Duit datang berapa, nak guna duit untuk student kan, we have to have the letter of approval from the university to use our own money. That is a little bit sad comparison lah for this generation. And talk about the my opinion about having the outside political influence in campus politics pattern, I would say is I see it as a good thing. Okay? Based on my experience, during my PRK, Pilihan Raya Campus for last year, 2025, it's a new party. I bertanding bawa new party, baru setahun that party, Siswa Malaya, and Siswa Malaya, yeah. And I don't really want to mention like what kind of party are behind our back, but what can I say is it's a positive influence because they help us in the terms of our financial. So with the amount of money we receive, it helps us to buy all the banner, all the flags, and the campaign material. So it helps us to move forward, and with their financial help also, it helps us to grow. And nampak lah, PRK 2025 compared to 2023 until 2025, I would say last year, Pilihan Raya Campus was the most dynamic and adrenaline rush ever happened during my tenure lah. And it's really amazing. So I see it as a positive impact rather than negative impact. Yeah.
All right. Sure. I think. Do you have anything? Okay. So maybe we can open to the floor before. Yeah. Anyone want to ask the question to Dr. Yoong Suan and the others? Yeah. Sure. Maybe we can collect 2 to 3 questions and then we go around. Yeah.
Thank you. I think I have two questions. So straight to the question, right?
Yeah.
Question number one. To what extent did student activism between 1965 and 1970 actually shape a meaningful understanding of autonomy among the wider student population? In your view, how representative was this movement of students as a whole beyond the core activist group? Okay. Question number two. Given that student activism was significantly curtailed after the introduction of Universities and University Colleges Act 1974, and considering the relatively limited resurgence of student political engagement in public universities today, how would you assess the long-term impact of the student union and the struggle for autonomy movement? Has it achieved outcomes that are lasting or transformative? Thank you. This question is to all the panels.
All right. Anyone else? You can go for another one or two questions. All right. Madam.
Thank you. You think there's a connection between the lowering of the voting age to 18 and larger interest to enter the campus by the political parties? Thank you. My name is Shakun.
You mentioned about the 18 and also?
The lowering of the voting age to
Yeah.
18 because that time was 21, the voting age.
Yeah.
And they couldn't go home, their home state to vote and all that. The parents won't pay them to go back. So now it's 18 and you can change your address and the activism there. And why did they lower the voting age to 18? Because of infiltration into the campus or whatever.
Okay. So, okay, sure.
Yeah.
So, anyone wants to start? Or Alisa, you want to start? Yeah, any
Miss Chakultar question. So talk about the legal age for voting. In my generation would be 18-year-old, kan? You can start voting compared to the 21 years old punya year. So I would say it's a good change by the government. And why? Kenapa benda itu saya rasa adalah sesuatu benda yang patut? Kerana if you see the amendment in AUKU sendiri, the 2019 amendment, kan, that the university allow the student to participate in political punya things, and they trust the student, the university student, to participate in the democracy process. Jadi, if we observe the earliest age, you can enter university pun bermula umur 18 tahun. Bila boleh masuk university, taking degree. So, having to vote at the age of 18 would be something yang tak salah pun. And I would say, around that age, teenagers are ready to vote for the leader lah yang nak memimpin negara kita, kan. Mereka during secondary school, mereka dah pun diajar dengan ilmu-ilmu pengetahuan tentang politik negara dan apa semua. Jadi mereka sepatutnya kerajaan dan juga all of the individuals here dan juga di mana-mana saja yang saya percaya, kan, kita patut percaya dengan kemampuan remaja berumur 18 tahun ke atas untuk mengundi. Mereka dah pun matang and they have the ability to decide about the leader for our future nation.
To me, I think age is not really a problem, provided that the education system doesn't mold people as what they are now. The important thing is that if the education system provided good education, allow students to have free thinking, develop critical thinking, and really be analytical about everything. I think age is not really a big problem.
And about the gender?
I think it's very straightforward, Mr. Chairman. If student activism had no impact, there would have been no AKU. AKU and all the amendments were introduced to curb the students' activism so that the activities of the students do not expand just to the students but even beyond society. And that, I think, was what was going to happen, that student activism were expanding beyond the campus. I mean, I am very proud to say that in 1969, we took part in the national elections. We had political rallies all over the west coast of Malaysia in all the towns. And thousands of people came. I'm very proud to say that. I was part of that activity. So I said, if there had been no impact of student activism, there would have been no AKU at all.
About this D18, which is very good lah. Yeah. But the thing is that, like Dr. Yoong Suan said, the education system. You see, our education system now, globally the education system now, is not by right, it should be to teach you how to think. That's fundamental. I mean, since Socrates' time, I'm so stupid, but I'm clever if I know that I don't know nothing. So that was Socrates. That's the key. So until now, you can see that the education system is that for you to pass examination, I was really shocked when I see SPM, 9A, 12A. Wow, but the thing is that they are not allowed. They are not allowed to have critical thinking. So to think freely is very important. Not to just, I really don't understand why that Sir Stamford Raffles founded Singapore 1819. Masa tu tak ada ke orang nelayan Melayu dekat Singapura tu. So this is mind-boggling for me, you know. And that's why I become club socialist member. Because at that time, so, takkan tak ada orang Melayu duduk kat Tanjung Pagar tu kan. So these are the things. The bullshit they are teaching you, all the education system. So we have to renovate the whole thing, is to teach you how to think. Ajar mereka cara nak berfikir. That's the key for education system. Okay. About autonomy, well, for me, the autonomy, well, whether we can go on, my idea of autonomy at that time was that University Malaya, polis tak boleh masuk. Kalau dia tak ada lesen motosikal, budak tu daripada bangsa lari laju kan, sampai kat gate tu masuk, polis tak boleh kejar lah. So that is my understanding of autonomy university lah. But of course, autonomy university is more than that. But that is my understanding of 1971 as a freshman lah. Universiti kita ni ada autonomy ni. Kalau motosikal kau tak ada lesen tak apa. Kalau lari masuk, polis tak boleh kejar. That was the key lah. Which is quite true. But then we have special branch lah masuk. Until all broken on the 8th of December 1974, when the army, the police came in and ransacked everything, they were looking for me, but unfortunately they are so stupid, they couldn't find me. So that's the story. So but now the autonomy is not just more for the student. It's meant other things also, about how to think, that means research, paper research, education research. Okay, let me tell you, in 1973, there was one guy from India. He came here on a journey to Tokyo, or the other way around. He appeared in the newspaper, in the New Straits Times. I invited him to speak in University of Malaya. Immediately he came. So that was so free. Everybody can speak. Everybody, Dick, Tom and Harry can speak. Anybody. You are invited, if you come to come. Tidak ada halangan-halangan. So that is my understanding of university autonomy. You are free to invite her. No. Now, as our student here will say that, minta duit lah, minta permission, and then, why we need all this? This is this is about the education now, it's about to control you. All the internet is to control you so that you become docile, your education here so that you can earn a salary, you don't be like Syamuddin Rais.
Right. Any more questions?
Yeah, okay, one more. And then I will add another one questions, and then we can go to the conclusion.
Mine is actually not a question, but I just want to share my experience and observation. I was a graduate student university mid-90s till end of 1990s. My experience when I was in university, when we were under AUKU, all right, is that actually the AUKU didn't curtail and try to disallow political parties to be in campus and disallow students to be involved in politics. Not at all. That is a myth. It's based on my experience and observation, because actually the political party, especially the government political parties, they were in the campus. They were there, in all universities, because they were the establishment. This is referring to Barisan Nasional lah. So the politicians, they were there, and the students who are pro Barisan Nasional, they liken it lah. They incline to Barisan Nasional. They welcome the politician there. Functions were held, activities were organized. You see, it's all true. And yeah, they are going for the money. The students, how they tackle the students, and it's all for political campus election. And that's how they want to, in long term, target for general election, to make sure youngsters vote for the government. So it's actually a myth. They allow politics, but fortunately we had the reformasi in 1998. So since then, this come to what Ishamuddin related to what Ishamuddin said, knowledge and critical thinking. Students started to who were not interested at all in politics, including me. My world was only arts and literature, but suddenly I took even my degree in political science. I am now a politician, full-time politician until now, near 30 years. We were introduced, I was also with Hisham lah, at Bangsa. We were introduced to all this. So we started to be critical to the government, to AUKU, to politics, all that, and contemporary issues back then. That's all. But now what the government needs to do, which actually I had the same vision as Datuk Seri Samsul Iskandar, so both of us, we said the government has to introduce something drastic in school, even in school, start from school. Subjects such as political science, so that students, they know what is politics is all about. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more? Any more from the floor? If not, I think I will, if I may, take the liberty, because I think we just want to respond some of the things, and then we make a conclusion remark. So I think the reason why I asked whether we should allow the political parties to come into campus, I think there's a part of the dilemma, right? For me, I'm not like rejecting the entirely, because this is a part of the freedom of association, but I think when it comes to the amendment or even the abolition of AUKU, or even like when we want to do the restructuring or reform in university, it has to come to the first, revive the student autonomy, like what you all have been shared, right? Because, and when we revive the student autonomy, we like the student to choose what they want. Because if we don't have the autonomy, automatically it can become, it turns to the proxy fight within the political parties, within the campus. And for me, ideally, the university should become a place whereby we can, initiate new ideas. We are not following the old politics. We can invent a new politics, right? This should be the things, and it shouldn't become the proxy fight between the political parties within the campus elections. This is what I think. So I'm not like rejecting, but instead we should do the other thing first. For example, abolish the AUKU, revive the student autonomy, talk about the financial autonomy as well. And nowadays, even though they talk about reviving the financial autonomy, yet it was still being controlled by the university. So I don't think it's a full autonomy. Yeah, but anyway, we can talk a lot about the autonomy, but I want to go back to all the panelists because we come almost to the end of discussions. So nowadays, we are facing a lot of crises, right? Yeah, energy crisis, we have war, more conflicts around the region, and we have new technology like AI, all these kind of things, right? So coming back to all of us here, you are, some of you are activists, some of you are still students, some of you are the educators, academicians. So how do you see facing this kind of like rapidly changing world, right? What are the role we can play, yeah, as your current role right now, right? And then, and also, what are your advice to the future generation, especially the young activists and the students who want to get involved in student union? And perhaps you is also about like, yeah, you are going to graduate soon, I believe. Yeah, so can you give like, what are the lessons learned and what is the advice you can give for the others? So perhaps my suggestion, we go with Elisa, and then Prof, and then Hishamuddin, and then Dr. Yoong Suan. Is that okay?
That's my okay. So the question now is, what is the role of the student union, and the educators?
Yeah, facing the changing, rapidly changing.
Okay, I see. I'm just going to go by simple answer. So I believe the student role would be contribute by giving creative and good perspective, maybe in the terms of the issue that is currently happening in the university campus, such as the rising of fee and everything, just to give out the idea to the student representative council about what they can voice out to the high up. And then moving on to the student representative council, maybe they can boost their student engagement, because I believe student engagement today, it's a hard challenge untuk maintain. Sebab apa? Sebab macam yang saya cakap tadi, today's students, their focus are broader. Kan, ada banyak aspek yang mereka perlu tekankan, and it's very hard to get student engaged with the activities, the student fights and everything. And yeah, that's it. And for the educators, maybe they can help by guide the student to think more critically by giving out questions that make them think about how to do this and how to settle that. Tanya orang question-questions yang boleh, apa orang kata, kembangkan cara pemikiran. Sebab generasi sekarang, generasi sekarang termasuk saya lah kan, saya bukan nak mengutuk generasi sendiri, tapi compared to generasi lepas, generasi kita berkembang dengan social media. Okay? Buku bukan jauh sekali, tapi jarang. Kita lebih kepada social media. Jadi, bila talk about social media, fake news everywhere, nah itu sana sini. Then, most of them rely on social media a little bit too much, which is, I think, yes, wrong information, and they go for knowledge through social media. I don't think it's the right thing to do. So, educators, talk about educators, maybe they can help the students, guide them about apa sources yang you perlu rujuk untuk certain things, just to help them to think critically lah, macam I cakap tadi, and talk about one pesanan, a piece of advice I would say for future student activists. Maybe do not be afraid to use your voice and to represent the student yang you promise untuk fight for lah. For example, the topic of student autonomy, and always remember to listen. Sebab apa? Sebab kadang-kadang bila dah dapat title sebagai student representative lah, student activist ni lah, mereka cenderung untuk lupa. Cenderung untuk lupa apa niat sebenar. Contoh macam bila dah menang, dah jadi Presiden KMEM. Terus lupa apa manifesto dulu, apa janji-janji dulu. Jadi itulah saya kata, gunakan suara mereka untuk represent orang-orang yang dah dijanjikan mandat dan sebagainya. Sebab kita dipilih pun atas sebab-sebab diorang punya voting kan. They see our ability to represent them. Jadi that would be my piece of advice. Thank you so much.
I just found out that it resonates with Hishamuddin's advice, to build the podcast. Because just now the advice for the educator, because the young generation gain information and knowledge on social media. So that means the educator have to start building podcasts. Yeah? Anyway, yeah, Prof.
Yes, I think if you believe in something, then you have to work at it and don't give up. There will be a lot of challenges. There will be a lot of obstacles. You get a lot of brickbats. And there are a lot of people who will be standing in your way. But if you believe in something, you have to work at it. There's no other choice. And you must be prepared to face the consequences. Thank you.
Okay. There's this guy called Che Guevara. He said that always try to do the impossible. So that is the one that I always think to do the impossible. But then at the same time, I always say, like Professor Kong just now said, that why they introduced the University Socialist College Act 1971, Amendment 1974, because the student is something. So therefore, Chairman Mao say, if the enemy attack you, it's a good thing, because you mean that you and the enemy have created a demarcation line. But if the enemy doesn't attack you, you are useless. So that's why. So now if the enemy, for me that is the key. But finally, to the younger generation, I always believe in the final analysis, the world belongs to the younger people. This is what I'm saying. So about this new age, what is this? The internet age or the Gen Z, Gen what? For me, the internet, yes, it's there. I only, after 6 o'clock, I'm no more my desktop. I don't go hang on. I had to discipline myself. I don't have to detox myself like in South Korea, They have to go 2 weeks detox session, detox therapy, no. But the thing is that, yes, but we are saturated with information, misinformation. So it's up to you. But the most important thing now, I really hope, our professor and all this will come out, have a podcast and all that. I would like to see Jomo Kesundram podcast. I would like to see Professor Kong have podcast. But Yoong Suan ni, dia dah umur dia 81 tahun. I say it's okay lah, tak ada lah podcast. Then what KJ is doing is good, because it create this thing. You have your own podcast. You might disagree with whatever he say, but he go on and on and on. So this is the thing. But finally, you do something else. But when you're young, come on, man. Let's rock the world.
Right, Dr. Yoong Suan.
Yeah, I agree. I think the young people are the tomorrow. They are the tomorrow's leader. And university autonomy, especially student union fighting for that kind of autonomy, should instill a democratic process whereby they learn. They not only learn, they also practice in more or less fulfillment of human rights and addressing themselves to the contemporary problem of facing society. This is a very important task. And if we do not allow this out to happen, you will just let the students being burdened by all kinds of bureaucracy. I think Malaysian government bureaucracy, because I work in Ministry of Education. The kind of bureaucratic requirement that virtually ties you down. You can't do much. And they now want to impose these kinds of rules and regulations and
All right. So I think last one is kind of like I still remember one of the Prof. Budya Singh spoke to me last time. He said, students, your role is always to challenge the authority, and the lawyers are there to back you up if you're in trouble. So with that, thank you very much for attending to this forum. And also advertisement. So you have Dr. Yoong Suan today, so definitely want to get the autograph from him. So please buy the book. You can get 20% from Budaya if you buy it today, and the offer is only available for today. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Aku dah ambil gambar, aku souvenir, aku dah lari.
Oh ya, ada anjing. Oh, jam saya tinggal sana.
Punya ada lebih.